you're gonna probably say, some of you. Let me go get my Italian ice. Don't mind my kitchen, it's kind of messy, but that's what we're gonna work on today. Woo! We are gonna work on being a mother like Mary Poppins. I'm gonna be there for my kids. I gotta make laundry soap. I can't find Zote soap. Z-O-T-E. We make 12 to 13 gallons of soap for the year. Laundry detergent. Woo! All right. But, so, everything that happens to us is God's unfolding. So when you say is God's, that means that when he put us here, when he created us, he thought about us, he had a situation for everybody. You know, I think about Joan of Arc. Well, hers was to burn at the stake. Like, okay. But she did have a major reason for living. Right? She led the military. She was a powerful woman. By the way, that is my confirmation name. Just to let you know. I'm inspired by women who are tough. So when I was around 12, 13, I loved Joan Jett. Remember Joan Jett and the Blackhearts? Like, I was a copy of her. Everybody knew it. I lived in Germany. They all knew it. Yeah. So anyway, because she's tough. So I'm not saying she's really good to listen to because she can be raunchy about things. So be careful. Don't say that I told you to do it. I'm just saying that's what I was doing. But so God, he creates us. He puts us here. So first he thinks about us, right? This is what I'm going to do. And when he creates us, see, I keep thinking that he's just like, okay, Lisa, well, you know, you do see people going to work. Like today, I saw a lady, she had the scrubs on, like she was in some kind of medical field doing something. Well, I thought to myself, well, she had to go to school for that. Like, hello. So the groceries that she's putting into her car is the result of her making money, right? Because she had gone to school to some degree. Maybe it was 8 months, 6 months, maybe a couple of years. I don't know. But, and I'm saying, well, what have I done? I have a ton of experience in working with the elderly. I have no certificate for it. And that's what really stinks, right? Because like, even with me in my marriage, I have such success in my marriage, and that you're going to tell me I have to go and get some schooling for it? I could go, I'd be so confident as to go to the local college and stand up in front of everybody and tell them how to do this. I am confident in that department. But, so God creates us, places us here in your mother's womb, in that particular family, on purpose. Maybe you were given up for adoption. Don't know. Maybe you're in foster care. Maybe you didn't even make it out of the womb. Okay? Maybe you're in that room for extra time. So now you're here. He has a plan. See, I keep forgetting this. I keep forgetting that he has a plan. Why am I forgetting? Because I get nervous. I get tempted. I listen to this temptation that, oh my gosh, Lisa, you are on your own. You are taking care of 3 children, a pet, 2 cars, a house. Like, what? So, but everything that happens to us, so God knew that when I was shaking a pom-pom that I made when I got married, because I was cheering God on, that, wow, he let me marry the man of my dreams. Like, what? Like, seriously? Like, oh my gosh. So I have it up in the attic. I actually made a pom-pom. It's white. And when they say, everybody please rise at the reception, yeah, introducing for the first time, Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Fry. I'm looking at the picture now. The pain is so, you can't say unbearable because God wouldn't do that to you, but it feels like it's on the verge of being that way. It's almost like you're standing on a cliff and you're ready to just be like, okay, you just kind of like letting the wind, whoosh, it's really windy on this cliff, you know, and you feel like you're just going to fall over. You feel like you're going to spaz out, but thank God for these promises of God. Thank God for faith. I don't know how anybody does it without faith. Not good. So he places us here, and everything, anything. So he packages up this way that he wants you to be. He packages you up with skills and talents and smarts and all this here. And then you look at somebody else, you go, wow, I wish I had that. Well, you don't. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't your package. All right. So with this package and skills and brains and all this here comes along like ever help. Like it's just always there. He lines everybody up for you in your life. You know, for instance, like this morning, my neighbor was away, and a couple of days ago, I texted him and said, do you think you can come over here and show me how to use the generator? It was real stormy, rainy. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's all I need is for the pump downstairs to overflow, stop working. What do I do? Electricity goes out. Oh my gosh. He said he wasn't around. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I asked Julio up the street, excuse me. Julio up the street came and helped me. And then this morning, my neighbor, he texts me and he says, is everything okay? Do you want me to come over? I was just like, you know what? I really don't need you right now because I already had Julio come, but it is amazing that you are backing me up. You're there for me. Like, thank you, God. God did that. We can say, oh, it was him or her, right? Because we have free will. But with that, when God placed us in our mother's wombs, in his mind first, puts us here, we come out, right? Skills, all that. He sets everything up. And if it doesn't happen, Mother Teresa is awesome. I should watch that too. There's so many inspiring things to see and watch. But she was a teacher, and I guess all girls, and she's sitting there and they're going, Mother Teresa, Mother Teresa. And she wasn't answering. She was just like zoning out. And she said, if God wants something to happen, it will. And if he doesn't, it won't. It's that simple. That's it. It's that simple. Now, don't try to go into, oh, but, you know, that person had a choice to do that. Are you telling me that God wanted this to happen? And then, look at, again, everything that happens to us is God's unfolding plan. Why? For our good. It's good. It is good that my beloved husband, my man, is gone. What? I don't know. It's for our good. My prayer while Stephen was alive, one of them was, please God, never let him go to hell. I would cry out in the car like begging God, please don't ever let him go to hell. So maybe that night that he was here and he was coming to church with us, perhaps that was, really like a month before that, he was repenting to me in ways that it was unbelievable. He was crying so much I couldn't even understand what he was saying. And God was stirring his heart. This was the time for him. Obviously, it's good, right? For me, for my good, it's my good and the children's good, for his mother's good, for his family's good, for his friends' good, for him to be in heaven. Maybe it would be a tragical thing if he had stayed and that was his only moment in time to go. We would do it 1,000,000 times again. Does that make sense? Yeah. I feel like a fool crying in front of you, but you know what? That's what it is. I cry because I miss him. Let me show you some pictures again. That's him when we were dating, and there we are. I have to get myself together because, you know, it just doesn't matter how much you cry. It doesn't change, you know? And it's not too heavy because God wouldn't do that to you. So this is bearable, but I just miss him. I just miss him. You have no, no matter how much I convey how much I love him, that's how I feel all the time. And that's why I got this group going, right? So the greater good is that my husband can go to heaven. That is the better. than him being here with me and not going to heaven. So, everything that happens to us is God's unfolding plan for our good in our lives. We have to remember that. I love that. Otherwise, you freak out, you panic. God, when Stephen went with him, his work, his mission, his purpose, Stephen's, was complete. That's it. He wasn't getting any more than that. So, that's it. And I say to God, well, what was so great about it? What was his purpose? What was so grandioso? I was comparing it to he said he wanted a garage with a room over. He never got that. He never got the 151, whatever it's called, truck that he wanted. He never got that. He didn't have some grandioso business plan. He didn't have any of that. But I will tell you this. I will tell you that he was so magnificent. He was a joy. As hard as it can be working with someone, right? And they can also be a pain in the neck. I used to always tell them that you are my cross. I always say, you help me to know God more. And he's like, oh, I'm glad I can help. But he was such a joy. The joy and the amount of, this is an emotional time for me, sorry. He gave us his life. I know a lot of people do that and they get married. He stayed with me through the hardest of times, and he stuck through it. And he did it. He was responsible in that way. He gave us life very comfortably. What an amazing giver. I used to always say to him, you are an amazing provider. Really. Do we have this, that, and the other thing? He used to always feel bad about not being able to give us more. And I would say, I feel like little orphan Annie. I mean, really, to me, this is like, oh, honestly. So, he gave children a chance to go to heaven by letting them come here. And even though he was in his 50s, he would say to me, do you want another baby? And I'd always be like, oh my gosh, really? Because I always wanted to adopt, but he always said we couldn't afford it. But then now and then he'd say to me, do you want another baby? Just wasn't happening anymore. So yeah, everything that happens to us is God's unfolding plan for our good. I have to remember that, right? I think, well, what's going to happen to us in a few years? What? I don't know. But God does. I don't know. Do I miss Stephen? Of course I do. Do I want to be married again? Yeah, but it's going to be so weird. So weird, because we're in his castle, Stephen's castle. I have Stephen's children. I have Stephen's memories. He has my heart. All of that. And then I'm married to somebody else. It's like, what? That's why I'm not in any rush to just hurry up and just, go on websites and find somebody. It's like, it has to be so ready. It has to be so ready. And this person has to be so strong. Emotionally, they have to be wow, I know that you still love your husband wholeheartedly with all your heart. And now you're willing to give me some of your heart too. I'll be in love with two people. Is that just, that's crazy. Yeah. But that's why he has to be strong. He has to know. He has to come in here and he has to understand that we still talk about him at times. We still have memories of him, and but it will be weird to be married to someone else, to touch someone else, to kiss them. It's like, whoa, am I violating here, God? But I do have somebody in my mind, and I cannot let it go. I cannot let it go. Anyway, let me go put away these groceries, and I'm going to let God go get that person for me. Because everything that happens to us is God's unfolding plan. We don't need to have it right now. It took me 10 years to marry Stephen. 10 years. That's a long time. One of those years, I had to give him up for almost a year. So it's work, faith, we gotta believe.